Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving deep, peeling back the layers of what might just be the greatest play ever written, Shakespeare's Hamlet.
So you've got to ask yourself, right? Why are we still talking about a play that's over 400 years old? What is it about this story that makes it feel so immediate, so alive, even today?
Well, it's pretty simple, really. It's because its hero is a total mystery. Hamlet isn't your standard run-of-the-mill hero, not by a long shot. He's a mind at war with itself and with the world around him. And that internal struggle, that's what makes his story absolutely timeless.
Okay, so a lot of people think of Hamlet as just a simple revenge story. And sure, on the surface, it kind of is, but that label, that's just the first, thinnest layer of something way, way deeper.
You see, the play uses the structure of what was called a revenge tragedy. It was a super popular genre back in Shakespeare's day. And yeah, it checks all the boxes. You've got the ghost demanding vengeance, the hero dragging his feet, and of course, a super bloody ending. But here's the genius part. Shakespeare takes that action-packed formula and just flips it on its head. He turns it into this profound philosophical puzzle.
And that leads us straight to the central puzzle of the whole play. Here's a hero who gets a direct command from his dad's ghost, avenge my murder. But then he seems to do, well, pretty much everything else except that. It's all about the delay.
And when you lay out the 5 acts like this, you can really see the play's bizarre rhythm. This is no steady march towards revenge. Oh no! Instead, you get these long periods of Hamlet just thinking and plotting and agonizing, and then, bam, a sudden catastrophic burst of violence that's often completely misdirected. It's all thought, and then terrible, impulsive action.
But here's the thing. To really get a grip on why Hamlet hesitates so much, you can't just look at him alone. You have to look at the characters around him. It's like Shakespeare holds up these mirrors to Hamlet's soul, showing us all the different ways he could have acted.
And this is the perfect example. It's just a night and day contrast, isn't it? On one side, you've got Hamlet, the thinker, who's basically paralyzed by all the moral questions his task raises. And then you have Laertes. He's all passion, all impulse, a total man of action. He wants revenge, and he wants it now. And that burning passion, it makes him incredibly easy for the king to manipulate and use in his twisted little plot.
But wait, there's a third model here, and he's super important, Fortinbras. Now, he's also a son looking to avenge his father, but he's totally different from the other two. He takes his grief and channels it into disciplined, strategic, military action. And in the end, it's his cool-headed approach, that mix of purpose and control, that lets him walk in, restore order, and take the kingdom. Meanwhile, Hamlet's thinking and Laertes' passion, they just burn the whole place down.
Right. But we have to remember, Hamlet's crisis isn't happening in a bubble. His own internal chaos is basically a perfect reflection of the world he's living in, a world that is deeply, deeply corrupt and broken. The problem isn't just inside Hamlet's mind, it's baked into the very foundations of the state of Denmark.
And that brings us to this incredibly famous line, which you hear pretty early on. This isn't just some poetic metaphor. It's a literal diagnosis. The kingdom is sick. It's been poisoned, right from the very top. And that sickness is seeping into everything. And you can trace this rot step by step. It all starts with the king, right? A guy who literally murdered his own brother to get the crown. That poisons the entire court, turning Hamlet's old friends into spies. The paranoia even infects their faith. I mean, is the ghost even telling the truth? Is it an honest spirit or a demon sent to trick him? You have to imagine how this would have hit Shakespeare's audience. They were living with their own very real fears about who was going to rule England, so this instability would have felt terrifyingly familiar.
Okay, so you take all of these layers, the strange plot, the contrasting characters, this deeply corrupt world, and you mix them all together. What you get are themes that are just completely timeless. They get right to the heart of what it means to be a person trying to navigate a really, really complicated world.
For one, the play just blows up the whole idea of revenge. It's not some simple, honorable act anymore. For Hamlet, it's a moral maze. He's stuck asking himself this impossible question. If I go through with this and kill the king, am I actually delivering justice, or am I just becoming a murderer just like him?
And then there's this theme of appearance versus reality. This is a world where everybody is wearing a mask. The king is playing the role of a good ruler. Hamlet's friends are playing the role of being loyal. And Hamlet himself, well, he's playing the role of a madman. It forces you to ask a question that feels so incredibly modern. How do you find any real truth when it seems like everyone is just performing?
Madness itself is another huge theme, and we see it in totally different ways.
For Hamlet, his madness is a strategy, right? It's a weapon he uses, another mask he puts on, to try and figure out what's really going on. But then you look at Ophelia. For her, a character with zero power, madness isn't a choice. It's the tragic, heartbreaking consequence of being used, silenced, and ultimately broken by this rotten world.
And all of this, everything we've talked about, it builds and builds until it culminates in the most famous line Shakespeare ever wrote. But to be or not to be is so much more than a question about suicide. It's a question about how to exist, period. Is it nobler to just sit back and suffer all the terrible things the world throws at you? Or should you stand up and fight back, even if fighting back might destroy you completely?
And that really is the question the play leaves us with. It's not just for some prince in Denmark hundreds of years ago. It's for every single one of us, right now. When you're faced with a world that seems corrupt, when you're filled with doubt, when you can't tell right from wrong, how do you choose to act? That's the real mystery of Hamlet. And that's why, after all this time, we're still trying to figure it out.